Okay. So this lecture is called Judge Philosophy, but it's going to be more general about how to act in tournaments and what to expect in debate. Until now, you've learned a lot about what to say in debate, what arguments to make, how to research, things like that. But what we want to try to help you with is the other aspect of the event, which is going to tournaments, dress code, things like that, and how to have a success at the tournament environment.
So teams that are really successful, nationally, locally, they've mastered this skill. They know exactly where to go at tournaments, what to do at tournaments. Whenever rounds go wrong, they know who to talk to. They know whose buttons to push to try to get their way. This lecture is going to help you be like one of those big circuit schools, so that if you're from a small school or you don't have a team at all, you'll be able to master the skills like the masters do. So the first thing we're going to discuss is tournament procedures. Usually in Texas, sorry if you're from out of state, Renzi can cover that, but usually in Texas, you're going to have 3 rounds on the first day, maybe some prelims on the next day, and then out rounds. If you're in Houston local circuit, I know that it's common to just have 3 prelims and then have out rounds on the second day. If you're in Dallas, Austin, or San Antonio, it's usually 4 or 5 prelims for every local tournament you go to. National tournaments are usually around 6 prelims.
Okay. Elimination rounds happen on the second day of the tournament starting, and they're usually contingent on the number of competitors in the tournament or the number of rounds played. So if your tournament has about 100 people, you wouldn't clear about half that. You would clear more like 32 or 16.
Yeah, so Octo Finals is going to have 16 debaters in it. Double Octos, 32. Triple Oct, 64. It would make no sense for a tournament that has only 64 entries to break even to double Octos. That'd be breaking half the pool. You'd be breaking people with losing records then, and we don't want to endorse losing at tournaments. Sorry, guys.
So the procedures done by this are done by the tab room. And what the tab room is they enter all the data, they determine who judges rounds, they determine how things are ranked at tournaments, and just set up rules for how the tournament will go.
Yeah, so tab room's going to do all sorts of different things, right? They're going to give your judges, give your rooms, but they're going to figure those out based on certain processes. At big tournaments, sometimes they'll use MJPs, which we'll discuss in just a second because this is a perfect segue. And at other tournaments, they're just going to do it based on, well, you have this qualified judge in here, or you have this guy that came off the street and he was batting at fake rats in his hair. We don't want the fake rats hair guy to be judging children at all, but he's here for some reason. Instead, in this round, we'd like the qualified judge to judge the round, as opposed to the crazy person. And they'll put in the qualified judge, hopefully. Hopefully.
So MJP, or mutual judge preferencing, is a process that a lot of tournaments are using now, in which you rank your favorite judges or the judges you think would be best for judging you before the round, or before the tournament. All teams do that, and then there's a sense of who are the most preferred judges, or who is most likely going to be wanted by everyone to judge important rounds or late elimination rounds.
The way that MJPs work is that usually you're going to rank a judge 1 through 3 and then a strike. Your judge that's most preferred is going to be a 1. Judge that's not so much preferred as that would be a 2. A judge not so much preferred as that is going to be a 3. Judges that you want to strike are judges that either are really, really bad and you don't want them. For instance, Chris. So you want to strike Chris every time, let's say. You give him a 6 and be like, oh my God, thank God, I will never have to be judged by Chris Wright because he's awful. He's terrible. Holy crap, kids, this is gold. I'm making fun of the camp director. Y'all should find this funny. Are you all dead? I know that camp's been long, but come on. Fun time. Aren't you the novice level? You're supposed to be the energetic little children that can't be kept in their seats, and y'all are just looking at me like stoics. Come on.
BJ knows that.
Appreciate it.
An example of someone that judges frequently because he's mutually preferred is Tom Evans, who's here. Most of the community respects his opinion, thinks he's a very credible judge. So he's someone that is oftentimes ranked at the highest level of judge pools for that reason.
Yeah, but sometimes you might not necessarily want to give Tom a 1, and here's why. Other people that are in the pool that you might think would debate better in front of Tom, because either they know his style better or other reasons, would also give him a 1. MJP means mutual judge preferences. So when you give Tom a 1, you're going to debate other people who also gave Tom a 1. But if you don't want to debate those people that gave Tom a 1, you might want to give Tom instead a 2. I know this is a little bit confusing, but the message here, right, is that when you do mutual judge preferencing, there's always a little bit of game theory involved. You're trying to figure out what other people are going to do and try to figure out what best benefits you through the ranking system. Whenever I was a debater in high school and the kids that I coached when they debated, we never really worried about which other people were going to pref the judges we wanted high as well, because you should just always go in with the attitude that you're going to kick ass no matter what. And you should, because you went to this camp, so you're going to kick ass. Yay!
Yay! TDC.
So,
TDC.
when you're registering for tournaments, if you come from a smaller team or a team where you're the captain or in charge of doing reservations, a few things you're going to want to know of the website called Joy of Tournaments. Is everyone familiar with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how to log on to that and have an account? Okay, so that tells you vital information about when tournaments are, when deadlines are, and what restrictions exist for those tournaments. So, if you want to go to tournaments, check it often, make sure you're familiar with when deadlines are and if there's capacity levels, because with tournaments such as Green Hill, you may not be able to get into if you wait until after mid-August to register for it.
Yeah, so the message here, guys, is look at what the tournaments are going to be, register early, and keep up to date on the registration process of each tournament. And this is not that hard. If you just type in joyoftournaments.com, there'll be a list of tournaments that they're going to have in the near future, and you can look at it, click on it, and there will probably be a page that tells you their procedures for how it is that you register, when deadlines are, and whatnot. You need to have an account, however, in order to actually register at these tournaments. So you'd have to create an account on Joy of Tournaments. And before we move on, let's ask some questions to see if this isn't going absolutely over your head. Like you said MJP, I don't know what that stands for. So somebody want to answer what an MJP is? Yes.
A mutual judge preference.
Mutual judge preference. And what did we mean by that? Somebody up here. You'll know when you sit on the front you're going to get called on. Yes.
Strike judges that you don't like or that are crazy rat-hair judges.
Crazy rat hair judge, yes.
And instead rank judges that you do want to judge you for whatever reason as ones you.
Yeah. What he meant when he said, was that you want to give judges higher ranks if you want them to judge you. And there might be a little bit of game theory involved in trying to figure out if other people are going to prep them high. Who wants to tell me what tab room does? One of y'all in the back. Blue shirt. Very, very back.
Blue shirt?
What does tab room do?
I do not know.
You don't know? Can somebody help them out? Yes, Michael?
Yeah. Alright, they basically are in charge of the tournament and they kind of like figure out what the judging and the pairings. And they basically just like run the tournament.
Yeah, basically run the tournament. So blue shirt. Probably should have asked your name when I called you blue shirt the first time. What's your name?
Jose.
Jose? Jose, could you tell me what Michael said about tab?
That they run the tournament, they organize who you're going to go against.
Excellent. They run the tournament, they organize who you're going to go against. Before we move on, it should also be stressed that for the love of God, if you want your mutual judge preferencing, you should actually do it before the deadline. I know of several kids in Top Lab who at several tournaments this year forgot to do their MJPs, and that really frustrated their coaches. Because then they ended up getting like everybody in the pool they didn't want to judge them as their judge in really, really important rounds and in out rounds. The lesson here is you don't just do your MJP, you do it before the deadline.
That will turn a good tournament bad if you don't do your MJP. Real quick. One final note on Joy Tournaments is that if you're traveling aside from your school or without your school, you need to check tournaments that allow for independent registration or require you to be affiliated with the school. Because there's some tournaments you may not have access to if you're not affiliated with the school you go to.
Yeah, and I saw some questions.
Yeah, where do you do mutual judge tournaments?
Awesome. Could somebody answer that maybe? Nope.
Joy
Well,
tournaments.
Joy of tournaments, excellent, because it is your end-all, be-all of debate registry place thing. You want to go to Joy of tournaments. If you're registered for a tournament, it'll usually have a mutual judge preference sheet, and you'll just type in the number you want to give your judge, and it'll be there, and then you submit it through there. Yes?
What do you do if you're not familiar with the judge?
What do you do if you're not familiar with the judges? Excellent question.
Is that part of later on? You say what to do, or? We can answer that now. So part of what that is at attending TDC, you're familiar with a lot of the staff, and there are people you can contact during the season when you're debating if you have questions. Questions about judges would be perfect for Andrew here or anyone else on staff, really.
And there's also a Judge Philosophy's case wiki, or not case wiki, Judge Philosophy's wiki on a wiki space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you just type it on Google, don't do it now, don't do it now, don't do it now. If you type it on Google, Judge Philosophy's LD, there'll be a list of judges, and you can click on them and be like, oh, Andrew Cockroft likes you to be rude in rounds. I don't. So I'll probably give him a 6. I don't want him to judge me. That's how you can do it. But there's lots of times where judges that are on the mutual judge preference sheet are not on that wiki. And in those instances, right, you should call somebody that you know from here, contact us in any way, and we'll be like, oh, she's good, he's bad. Don't let those people judge you. Let this person judge you. They're really good. Or if you're skeptical about how good someone's paradigm sounds, and you've heard different stories about that person, you can call one of us to confirm or deny stories about that person.
What if you live in like very far from the judges?
If you live, well,
How would
do you have a phone?
Email?
Yeah, so like a phone or email would work.
You've been emailing your lab leaders, right?
I think he means like that he lives like not where most of the judges would be going to.
Right.
So like, do you mean like a lot of the judges that you would get would be ones that would not either be on the wiki space or ones that we would know? Well, so in those instances, right, it would be best to talk to somebody that is like your authority for who judges are at your tournaments. And if you can't talk to them, talk to people that know them. There's got to be somebody in the chain of people that you know, the 6 degrees of that person, that will be friendly enough to you to be able to be like, oh, I'll go through the chains and figure this crap out. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about behavior and dress now, and we'll start with dress. So when you go to a tournament, you're appearing in front of people whom you want to convince something. You want to sell them the idea that you're winning the round or that you're articulating great arguments that should be voted on. To this effect, how you dress is very important. Dress for success is often a term that's thrown around, and it's true for debate. The most important aspect of this is that you show an attempt that you attempted to dress up. We have a few guidelines. First for men, can anyone think what a guideline would be for a guy dressing up at a tournament? Like, what would you want? Yes? Suit and tie. Good. Does everyone agree with that?
Not just any suit and tie. You don't want to put on like a zoot suit, for instance,
Yeah, you
right?
want a zoot suit.
You don't want like a seersucker suit. You don't want something with like, what's the tails thing?
Coattails.
Yeah, coattails. You don't want something with coattails. You don't want a tux. Anyone see the movie Step Brothers?
Oh.
Yeah, when Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly show up at a job interview to be janitors in tuxedos, that looked really weird because no one shows up to a job interview in a tux. Don't wear tuxes to debate tournaments.
Don't wear tuxes. You want a navy suit or a charcoal suit, and that will get you anywhere you want to at a tournament. Anyone else think of something that for guys to wear at a tournament?
Oh, for guys.
Sorry, what?
For guys.
Yeah.
I'd rather like girls like getting like counted off with this skirt was like too short.
Oh, this is for girls?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to there. But
Okay, we're still on
yeah,
guys.
still on guys. Jennifer,
Dress shoes.
dress shoes.
Dress shoes.
Very important that you wear dress shoes. There is an aspect of dress shoes that's very important too. The socks have to match.
Yes.
This means a lot of the Nike no-show socks that a lot of guys wear cannot be worn with dress shoes and a suit. It takes away from the entire outfit.
It looks really funky to see someone's nice dress shoes, and then you see Scooby-Doo socks right in there. One, I will judge you for the Scooby-Doo socks, and two, I will judge you that you wore the Scooby-Doo socks with your dress shoes. For all of you that have Scooby-Doo socks, I'm sorry, you made a bad choice.
Recap, you want to wear, for guys, khakis or a suit. You want a long sleeve dress shirt with, along with a tie. And you want dress shoes and a belt and socks that match.
Alright, so let's do a little bit of a test to see if y'all are listening. If I was going to go to a tournament and I was opening my closet, let's say that for some reason I have ad infinitum clothes, and this will make this scenario make sense. I look at there and I'm like, there's a nice clown outfit there. Shall I put that on?
No.
Who thinks I should wear the clown outfit? Well, that's just silly and dumb. What if I look in there and I'm like, oh, there's a suit jacket, a dress shirt, and a tie. I'm good to go. What have I forgotten? Pants! Always wear pants. Shoes too, and what else? What was that?
Matching socks.
Matching socks and underwear. Can't forget the underwear. Can't just go to tournaments, underwear-less and pants-less, shoeless and sockless, because they'll be like, your upper half looks very nice, but for the love of God, we can't let you in. So let's also review. Are Converse shoes dress shoes? No. As much as they may match your skinny jeans, they're not dress shoes. Judges will notice this. I swear, like I'm not making it up. It really does suck to have to dress up all the time for judges, but you're presenting yourself to other people. I had a student who dropped in octofinals of TFA State 2 years ago because he didn't wear dress pants. State, octofinals of State, because he didn't wear dress pants. It wasn't his fault that he didn't have dress pants. He was too poor to afford dress pants. But the point is, try to find some clothes. If you can't get clothes, borrow them from a friend. Borrow them from your parents. Borrow them from friends of your parents. If, for instance, your parents are both like 8 feet tall, and you're like, I can't wear a blanket to the tournament. So that covers the guys.
Girls, what do you think are standard guidelines for how you should dress at tournaments?
A suit or a nice blouse and skirt with pantyhose and heels or nice socks.
Very good. Suit or a nice blouse with a skirt, pantyhose, and shoes. Great things. Everyone agree with that? Anything you want to add? Anyone? Jennifer?
Grooming.
What?
Grooming your hair.
Grooming your hair. Okay. Expand.
I don't want to see a beard that looks like it's dead hair. No, not offensive beard.
On women or men?
On men first and
Okay.
Okay.
I respect a beard on anybody.
Yeah.
But yes, at tournaments you should usually be groomed. It's very odd to look at a high schooler with a beard. It really is. Like, I respect that you can grow the beard. I really do. Every day I look in the mirror and I'm like, thank God I can grow a beard. I still have some patches, like for instance, there's a bald spot sort of underneath my chin. And it makes me really sad that hair doesn't grow there. But I really do respect my beard and I respect others who, like you and your nice goatee. Very, very gentlemanly. Or you and your sideburns. Sideburns are nice, goatees are nice. But yeah, at tournaments, it is very odd to watch those on high schoolers. Is anybody's school policy that you're not supposed to have facial hair? Oh, so y'all are just like feeling liberated this summer, right? Same with me. They thought that if children had facial hair going into the high school, that they would actually just be drug dealers for some reason. That once I sprouted whiskers, I must be carrying drugs on me into the school, which is absurd. But we all understand beards are fun. Just probably groom yourself. Don't wear them at tournaments.
Yeah. So we already reviewed what women should wear. The general rule is being uncomfortable is much worse than looking great. I'm sorry. Being uncomfortable and looking great is much worse than being comfortable and looking okay. So at tournaments, you're going to be there for 12 hours on a Saturday normally. So be comfortable, especially for shoes. High heels are great, but you probably don't want to be in them for 12 hours. So comfortable shoes, comfortable clothes, that's what you want to do.
It's like, raise your hand if you know it sucks to walk in high heels for 12 hours.
I don't
I know, right? It sucks terribly. Your feet start hurting, your ankles are just like, I can't take it anymore, I'm standing on wire. Like, why would you want to do that to yourself for 2.5 days or 1.5 days? No! Bring yourself some flats. Maybe don't even wear heels. There might not be a reason to wear heels. Yes, we understand they make you 3 inches or 4 inches or 5 inches taller than you were otherwise, but really is that going to be a big of a difference? But being comfortable is awesome. If you have comfortable shoes, you'll have a comfortable body for the entire tournament, and you won't resent your debate coach for making you wear heels.
Questions about dress code?
There's one thing we wanted to stress. On skirt length, air for longer as opposed to shorter. And that is all we're going to say about that.
Yeah. Keep it on.
Air for longer as opposed to shorter.
Got that one? So we put a note in here about being at tournaments for long hours on 2 to 3 days in a row that you need to drink water. A lot of people are drinking soda or energy drinks. That doesn't help you really when you're trying to speak for 12 hours. Water is the only thing that will hydrate you and give you enough energy to go on from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night. So water, no energy drinks, no soda.
And this is really important, guys. Drinking water will not only give you, or hydrate you as opposed to what Coke does, which is diuretic. It makes you lose water. It'll make you speak better. Who in here is in Amin, Devin, and Jones' lab? So Amin, for all of his junior year, for some reason decided to drink Coke before rounds. And that would stick to the inside of his throat such that when he spread, it made him sound like a dying chicken. And lots of judges really despise having to flow debaters who sound like dying chickens. So I would stress, don't sound like a dying chicken. It's not just unique to him. And drink lots of water, because it's not only good for you, it's good for everyone else that has to listen to you.
The next part of behavior is how you treat the schools that you're competing in, or the sites that you're competing in. We originally had it as treat it like your home, but we're not sure how all of you treat your homes. So if you treat your homes badly, don't treat it like your home. But be respectful of any area you go into. If it's not yours, don't touch it. Which goes to anything you see in a classroom, anything you see another team have that they brought with them, and just in general, respect for the furniture.
Yeah, guys, just like how we're here, and it's really bad to leave trash on the floor because this is a space being loaned to us at a very reasonable price, like extremely reasonable price, we should treat this environment very, very well because we should be thankful for the fact that we have a place that we can actually have this camp. Similarly, tournaments are there to try to educate and empower students that compete there. You should treat your tournament like your baby. It should not be something that you should just screw with and mess with. Somebody is lending that to you. That's somebody's property. Somebody else has to pay for the damage that you do. So if you have any sense of being morally obligated to do things, any sense of responsibility at all, you do not ruin other people's things. And as such, you don't mess up tournaments. You don't mess up the classrooms by throwing around chairs or leaving trash everywhere or writing on the walls. Or one time this happened where somebody at a tournament threw a cherry bomb inside of a toilet. You don't do that. Because it's other people's things. And in those instances, right, somebody else's job has just been severely screwed up for that day because now they have to clean up after your stupidity. So don't do it.
The long-term impact of that is a lot of tournaments have had to shut down and not have a tournament anymore because of damage to school that the school is no longer willing to deal with. And if you think about most tournaments operate as fundraisers for the program they're from. If they lose that fundraiser, then that debate program no longer exists.
So let's talk about the full implication of your screwing with another school. You not only close off that tournament for other debaters that used to be able to go to that tournament, feel empowered, get everything out of debate that you're getting out of it, but you also screw over the people at that school. The people who get their empowerment from actually being in debate. And if that school can't have a tournament, it probably can't have a team. And so the most they can do is debate each other as opposed to going out and making new friends everywhere else and having other experiences that you would enjoy because you got to ruin their school. So again, if you feel responsibility at all, you will not ruin other people's things.
So the next section is one that Andrew is very passionate about, so I'm going to let him lead us off.
Other don't be mean.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be mean to debaters. This is the next lesson we're talking about. Now, when I say being mean to debaters, I don't mean just the simple assertiveness that happens as the result of a round. What I do mean is don't make fun of other kids. Don't talk trash about other kids to other kids. Don't make fun of people in front of other coaches, or don't make fun of people generally. There's no reason to be absolute dicks or shits, sorry video, to people for no reason. It's not nice. And now I'll give you 4 reasons why. 1, nobody likes the mean kid. Even the friends of the mean kid don't like the mean kid. They like them for ulterior reasons, like, I don't know, they make good cupcakes or something. Or, I don't know, they're really fun to be around at parties. But no, when they really think about it, when they really contemplate it, everyone hates the mean kid. Don't be the mean kid. You won't have friends. Then, 2, you may always need help from somebody in the future. If you're mean to people all the time, you're going to get this reputation as being that kid who's mean. And then, when you're in a situation in which you need help from somebody, like, let's say that I'm really mean to, what's your name? Ayush? That's an excellent name. If I was really mean to Ayush for a long, long time, I just treated him like shit. I was like, that goatee looks silly. Which is not really that mean, but let's just say that that's the potential meanness I have. That goatee looks very silly. And he's sad and crying, but then maybe the next time that I need to go debate somebody that happens to be a person I used to debated, and I'm like, okay. You know that thing about your goatee? I was just kidding. Can I please have your flow of the round? I'm going to lose if I don't have your flow. Could you please help me? And he'll say no. And why? Because I was an absolute craphead to him. And I shouldn't do that. So, reason number 2 why you shouldn't be mean. People that you may need help from in the future are not going to want to give you any help.
Reason number 3, basically the people you see in this room and the people you see at tournaments that start debate when you do, you will see them for 4 years likely. And the people older than them will judge you after they graduate. The people younger than you will be in the activity when you are. So basically, anyone you know in the activity now has the chance that they'll be in the activity in 3 years, 6 years, or 10 years. You don't want to be mean to the people you see every day, and you don't want to start a relationship off badly with people that you meet now.
Nothing is more awkward than being mean to somebody and the next year they're your judge in a round. Nothing is more awkward than that, because you walk into the round, see they're your judge, you have this feeling come over you where you're like, oh crap. I now regret every decision I made up to this point. I now feel really sad and depressed about the fact that I called him a short person. And now he's staring back at me thinking, he called me a short person. But you know what? I'm going to get him back. Because I have a ballot, and there is nothing to stop me from making whatever the hell decision I want. And then they're going to vote you down, and then you're going to be like, why'd you vote me down? And all they're going to be saying is just blah, 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 blah. In brackets, this means you called me short once, and now I has power. So, don't be mean to people. They might end up being your judges. But also, there's no use in being mean to people that you will just be around all the time. It's like being mad at your parents for trivial things. Like you see them every day, and it's not worth being pissed off the whole time. Nobody has enough energy to just be perpetually mad. So stop doing it. Don't be mean, because you need to have bonds with people, and you're going to be in close spaces with these people for like 4 years of your life.
Yeah. I knew a lot of people at this camp before I came to this camp. We didn't really know each other. But one thing that helped me was I didn't go out of my way to be mean to them. So that when we're here for 2 weeks, things are friendly. Our first statement is that anything mean or sarcastic you say to someone, you'll probably instantly regret. I can't think of one comment I've made in the last 10 years of judging or coaching that I still am like, yeah, I got that person great. You'll always regret it. It'll always be a bad idea. So why not just don't say it?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty simple, right? Don't say mean things to people unless, for some reason, you're so sociopathic that you have no sense of regret from doing something that is regrettable. So, this also doesn't mean live with no regrets. That's not the way you get out of this. This is, don't say things because you will regret it. It's impossible to live with no regrets.
Questions on any of that? Okay. Next section is the big one. After the round, the judge gives their decision and you disagree. How do you act? What do you do?
So the first thing is that asking questions is a good thing. We believe you should be able to question a judge's opinion. Now, when I say that, it doesn't mean that you just simply keep accusing the judge. It doesn't mean that you start questioning his motives or her motives. It just means questioning about the decision. So you voted on this argument. Well, how is it that you evaluated this argument? But you don't say it so you voted on this argument, right? I bet you didn't even hear this argument. You must be stupid. That is the wrong way to do it. And yes, there's obviously a middle ground that some of you will try to navigate so as to not look like you're accusing people, but judges can tell you're accusing them of stuff. We're not dumb. It's not like once we left high school, we lost our ability to read people. So just try not to be accusatory. Just ask questions, as if one would ask questions to you on a test.
The second one then is that body language speaks louder than words, which is true in most scenarios, but especially after the round. If a judge says how he voted and is trying to explain his decision, and you're packing up or looking disinterested or being very aggressive in how you're packing things up and looking, rolling your eyes a lot, that will come off very bad and the judge will be closed off towards you in the future.
So, do you think that if I do this next thing I'm about to show you, I could, after that, have a sound ground to just ask nice and formal questions of the judge's decision? So the judge gives the decision and I go, so why did you make your decision, Judge? No, they'll be like, holy crap, I just watched that child mouth swear words at me, and even though no sound came out, the effect was still there. So, body language is key. There's no way you're going to be able to have an equal ground or even footing with the judge after demonstrating really dismissive body language. And the next thing,
Also, how you act towards your opponent is important. Your opponent didn't cast the vote or force the judge to vote the wrong way. They're in it just as much as you are. So don't be disrespectful to your opponent. Tell them they won unfairly, because guaranteed at some point in your career, you'll be on the other side where you'll, after the round, think, wow, I kind of messed that up. I probably lost. The judge will say that you won. You'll be surprised, and you'll just have to deal with it and be respectful. So it always goes both ways.
yeah, this is very similar to a story that happened in my family. My dad was criticizing my brother for not cleaning his room and said, Alex, if you don't clean your room, you're never going to be able to learn responsibility. My brother got really mad and then hit me in the shoulder. That doesn't make any sense, right? Because you are taking out something on someone else who is not responsible. That's absurd. So don't take out the judge's decision on your opponent. Your opponent didn't do anything. They just happened to win in the round. Actually, I don't know a situation in which you'd be mad at your opponent when you won, unless they were actually being mean. But your opponent didn't do anything to you. The judge did. And don't be mad at the judge, and don't be mad at your opponent. The opponent is your friend. They're just a child. They're not trying to kill you or ruin your life.
Questions on that? All right. Our next topic is what happens when things go wrong at tournaments and what you should do. So examples of this could be a round is entered wrong, you think you were told you won a round and then you didn't win a round and for that reason you didn't clear. Someone says something offensive to you, you think the judge treats you unfairly. You strike a judge and then they show up on the pairing judging you. Any number of these things can happen, and you need to know how to properly deal with them so that things get solved in an orderly fashion. The best thing you can do since you're a student is to contact an adult. This could be the chaperone you're traveling with, your coach, or more generally, someone from TDC or someone that you know at the tournament that you know will speak on your behalf.
It's really good in these situations to have somebody who can advocate for you. Because if you don't have someone who can advocate for you, the tab room or anybody else could always just be like, oh, well, you're a kid saying whatever. But an adult, they have power. And they can use that power to your advantage. So it's good to have either somebody on your team or find someone that you know or find a list of people that we're going to give you in a second. Or did we already give a list?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, give a list of people that in a second that you should contact based upon your reading.
So, people to contact, as I just said, anyone from TDC that you've met over the past 2 weeks would be glad to help you in any situation you find yourself in at a tournament. Other people, if you're from the Dallas area, Jen Meelan and Eric Meelan, who coach at Hockaday. Yeah. They coach at Hockaday, very nice people that would be happy to help you out. Yeah.
Sometimes you get mom judges, like, cause they can't find any judges. So sometimes judges there.
Yeah. We'll talk about parent judges in a moment.
Yep.
Another person affiliated with the Hockaday team is Catherine Tarsney, who's a very large supporter of TDC, would be very helpful to you.
If you're in the Houston area, Stacy Thomas is someone good to talk to. She literally has a book that's like this big of every single judge that's ever judged at a tournament ever in history. Like dating back to like the 1870s. Giant book. Don't know why she has those people still on file, but she does. And she knows pretty much everybody in the community. So if you go up and ask Stacy for help, say, Ms. Thomas, this thing happened. I don't know anybody at the tournament. Could you help me? She'll be like, of course, and she'll do it. Another person is Jerry Chris, who's actually very, very helpful with these things. He will advocate for you because he's a very nice man. Same thing as Ms. Thomas. He knows pretty much everybody in the community, and he will be totally willing to advocate for you. In the Dallas or in the San Antonio and Austin circuits, in the Austin circuits, there's going to be tons of people from TDC pretty much at every local tournament. So if you need any help, you can go find them. People that are not at TDC are people like Josh Aguilar, who will probably be at lots of tournaments, and you can definitely find him, or Richard Colling, who coaches at Stony Point. He'll be willing to help you.
There's several things you should not do when something goes wrong in a tournament. Can anyone help us with what that might be? Kyle.
Start acting like an asshole.
Okay? Start acting, we'll just say mean. We'll start acting mean. Yeah, start acting mean. But more specifically, so say something gets entered wrong, or you think something happens bad. What you don't want to do is find a random person in the cafeteria and start complaining to them about, this person screwed me over, I'm really mad about it. Because you don't know where people are from.
Yeah, it's not worth it to be like, hey, this guy has hair, I have hair, I'm going to go really accuse people to him. No, because anybody could know anybody. It's really awkward, when you go up and start talking to somebody and be like, Chris Wright is a really bad judge, and he's short, and I hate him. I hate his glasses and his hair, and how his legs are very, very tiny. And then the person you're talking to is Tom, and then Tom's like, interesting. And then he walks away very slowly and judgmentally. So, don't make accusations about people. You could be talking to anybody, especially people that might know them. Also, generally, this falls into the category of don't be mean, so just don't make accusations at all.
The second reason you don't want to do that is if it's towards the end of the tournament and you're complaining loudly about something that happened to you, that's going to be people's lasting memory of you from that tournament. So if I'm judging and I see Kyle, complaining a lot, making a scene. The next weekend, I arrive at the tournament. Who do I see? Kyle. What memory pops into mind? The one that happened last week when he was making a scene.
Yeah, it's really, 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 really easy to get rid of the memories of, almost 1.5 days of acting really nice cordially and being successful in rounds with that one moment where they go, F all this, and throw a desk in the air and rip off their shirt and then just start giving everybody the middle finger. I will find it really, really, really easy to be like, me thinks I made an improper character judgment for most of the last 2 days. This person's really mean. I don't like them. And that will just be, you can't overcome something like that either. That will just be what you are to other people for the rest of your life. So don't do that.
Any questions about that portion? Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about where you can go for scholarships or fundraising for debate. Is everyone familiar with Voices? No. Okay.
Oh, so what's the whole name of the organization? Just Voices. So if you type in on Google Voices and LP Debate, you will get a website of an organization that is dedicated to giving scholarships as well as helping out in certain ways to let people that can't afford them to tournaments. So for instance, if you can't afford a plane ticket or the entry fees to go to some out-of-state tournament that you really need to go to, like for instance like the TOC, then Voices will help you out. All that they require is tax return information as well as some other information about you. They are very, very helpful in giving out scholarships. And the best thing about it is that not very many people end up asking for scholarships from them, so they have lots of money that they can always use, and they have money at their disposal. So if you ever need money to go to a tournament, Voices will help out because they believe in the same cause the TDC does, which is empowering people that do not have opportunities, either because of financially or sociologically. So Voices is very helpful in that regard.
VoicesFoundation.org is what you're going to find.
Yes.
Okay.
Would it help for schools that are very funding from the debate?
Voices?
Yeah.
The only instances that I know of in the past are them helping out specific debaters. I'm not really sure how much they help out like entire teams.
Programs, yeah.
Oh, well, there's like 4 people on
So like, if you independently contact them, that's more likely to succeed than your school contacting Voices. I think is, yeah.
But that was a very good question.
Fundraising opportunities. So who's done fundraising before for debate? Okay, great. What did you do?
We host a tournament at our school.
Okay. Michael?
We host tournaments and we sell like candy and chips. Like I work in my coach's classroom, so like
Okay.
people come there and buy
Great.
candy.
Yeah, selling candy out of your classroom. If your debate coach works at the school, there's candy you can buy, and if you're the classroom that sells candy bars all day, I guarantee you'll get a lot of visitors and make some money that way. What do you all do?
For our team, we usually have nights at restaurants like at Novice or Panera, and
Okay.
we get a percentage of what people buy when they turn in receipts.
Great. So fundraising nights at restaurants. The point is, among your family, your debate team, and the school, you should be able to find someone that is willing to help you fundraise. Restaurants, selling candy. At Valley High School, we sell something called butter braids, which are just pastries, but everyone loves them, so it works. But you can sell a lot of things. You can ask for donations from places.
Yeah, I think it's generally good to think like a businessman in those instances and be like, hey, what do high schoolers like?
Yeah.
High schoolers like sugar, fattening products, and just candy generally. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make something like a butter braid, which is bread with more butter on it than butter usually exists in. That didn't make sense. More butter on it than is in a butter churn. There we go.
40 layers.
40 layers of butter. That's a lot of butter. But you know who likes a lot of butter? Kids. If you gave a kid a butter braid, you'll probably end up selling that child 18 butter braids. Butter braids are like crack. You know what also is like crack? Candy. You kids love candy. I bet if I threw a lollipop in the center of the room, everyone would dive for it like it was a fumbled ball in football. So the thing to know is know who your audience is, know who you're trying to get money from, and then just sort of try to speak to that interest in your fundraising. Oh, question?
You could try to look for sponsors.
Yeah. So teams to people to sponsor your team. Do you have an example?
I was just saying like American Airlines, like they sponsor like a lot of teams. So like,
Oh, you mean like basketball teams?
yeah, it's like why can't we do it for Spain?
Well, the problem is that American Airlines would go, I don't feel as if my sponsoring a debate team is going to produce a lot of revenue for me, because it'll be a lot of wasted money advertising for a lot of less money. The main reason is that debaters themselves usually don't buy their American Airlines tickets when they fly places. But it is good thinking. Maybe you can get some sort of sponsor.
That was more like what Brea talked about with Panera. So Panera basically sponsored them by allowing them to get a percentage of their receipts for the night. I'm sure you've advertised and brought business to the place. Right. So that advertising can bring people into a restaurant just by being affiliated with your debate team.
Like my captain, like she's like Native American or whatever. So like our tribe like kind of like sponsors us like team as a whole.
That's legit.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anything else on fundraising? TSA?
Oh, yeah. So very quickly, just a little thing how TFA points work. TFA is for state inside of Texas. You need to have 10 TFA points to be able to qualify for state in your particular event. And the amount of points that you get from tournaments will depend on their size. I know that, for instance, last year, the year before that, they instituted a rule that made it so that at bigger tournaments that break to double octos, that you might end up getting a point for double octos. Right. So it just depends on the size of the tournament, what your points are going to be. But the main thing is that you just need to go far, get as many points as possible in order to go to state, because state's really fun. Next year, it's not supposed to be in a hellish place like Amarillo. Hopefully, you'll be able to go to state next year, see all of us wonderful people that work here at TDC, and we'll be like, hey, you learned the point system. And you'll be like, yes. And we'll be like, great. And we'll be like, good luck debating.
Tournament of Champions.
Yes.
So, who's familiar with the Tournament of Champions or the TOC? There we go, some people. So the way that works is you need bids or invitations to go to the Tournament of Champions. Those are required at certain tournaments where there's a bid status. So, since Green Hills early on in the season, that's a tournament you're familiar with. The 16 people from that tournament will get a bid to the TOC. You need 2 total to qualify, and the tournament's in May.
Yeah.
It's a national tournament with a lot of people from around the country, so it's slightly larger scope than Texas debate.
Yes, very prestigious.
Yeah, prestigious. And
NFL Nationals. What's going to happen is that you're going to have a district tournament, and in those district tournaments, at least for LD, it works like double elimination. So if you lose 2 rounds, you are out. The last 2 people, or depending on the size of your district, the last 2 to 4 people standing will be able to go to nationals, and there will be alternates for them. We had 2 people, I believe, on staff that qualified for nationals, but we're not able to go for financial reasons. But yeah, so, well, last year that is, lots of people qualified for nationals. Like Joan got second at nationals. But yeah, nationals are really cool and fun. Yeah. So, we're going to talk about resources, but we've already answered a lot of those questions. Does anybody have any general questions about what exactly we've talked about? Not all at once, guys. I can't deal with so many hands jumping up. Yes, we got one.
What do you do about lay judges?
What do you do about lay judges?
so that gets the this question earlier.
Yeah, so what do you do about lay judges? You can't complain about lay judges, because that won't work. You can't be like, my judge is lay. They'll be like, oh, guess what? You're like every other debater. So that's not going to work. For lay judges, all I would suggest is be confident and dominate the room and still win your arguments like you would usually in a round. lay judges are not really that complicated of people. Like, yes, you get the 1 or 2 judges that are not rational, like they don't connect arguments, but those are very few and far between. Most lay judges are regular people, just like you were before you joined debate, and they can understand when an argument is true or not true, or when an argument is contested or not contested. The jargon of debate is really just supposed to simplify certain words and certain phrases, and so if you just get rid of jargon like turn, or theory, or other things like that, most judges will completely understand what you're talking about. So, for instance, if we were arguing about whether or not to go to the store, we'd probably have competing reasons for why that was the case. The only way we'd be able to determine which reasons are good reasons is by a standard. So everybody knows how to have an argument, and everyone knows how to standardize that argument. And that's all you do in debate anyways. If you can just say that to a judge, they'll be like, oh, I get it. We can't just have people yapping at each other. There's got to be a way to control it. So, while we didn't go into too much about particular judge philosophies and adaptation, most of this lecture was for the purpose of teaching you how to act and be at tournaments, and how to get to tournaments, and how to be competitive when at those tournaments. But yes, we can answer other questions about lay judges throughout the rest of the day, or tomorrow as you're moving out, or whatever. Any other questions? All right. So, yeah.
What type of scholarships in debate get you for college?
Well, if you go really, really far in UIL, you'll get, I believe it's a $1,000 scholarship for each year. If you can apply for certain scholarships that I'm not exactly aware of, but I know that other people on the staff are, because of your debate experience, it really, really helps. But also, just having debate on your resume for colleges are more willing to give you scholarships because of that, because they know that you're dedicated to a scholastic activity.
Can you talk about UIL and
How UIL works? So getting to UIL state, you have to go through different stages of the tournaments. So for UIL districts, you're going to be competing with is usually in your school district. Like, for instance, I was from Fort Bend, so I competed in the Fort Bend school district. After you leave that, you go to regions, which is other districts around the area. So for instance, we competed against KDISD, I think, and in there, whoever wins or is in the top 3 there will move on to state. And at state, you're competing with everybody that was in the top 3 regions. And then you go to 3 prelims, usually 2-1 with really high stakes break and nobody else. And they break to semis. You do semis and then finals, and then the person that wins wins. We have 2 people on staff that have gotten second at UIL state. One of them is one of your lab leaders.
Jump.
Should have won.
I mean,
Yes, should have won. No. Oh, private schools for the most part don't compete at UIL, even though I know Strake has in the past. Any other questions? All right, it is currently 3 o'clock. You'll probably have some sort of break, but that would require consulting your lab leaders. Hopefully I'll have fun in this lecture. And remember, don't be mean.